Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back to Fat Cat Collections. Today, folks, I want to share with you another Android, old school Android watch. Now, not the operating system. This is, now you Android lovers, sorry to do it to you, but this is one of the old school 55 millimeter Android Millipedes. Now, this is, to the best of my memory, the first millipede that was ever released by Android watches. Now, Android is the old Aragon company. There was, I know I mention this every video, but I'll mention it again, there was some kind of issue with the name Android because Google came out with the Android operating system, and I think, again, it's a really smart move. Whatever the circumstance may have been for that name change to happen, it was great that they didn't try to fight it out and hold on to the name. Again, providing that Android had rights to the name, which I believe they did. It's really great that there was some kind of settlement, some kind of agreement, because really, when you go search for Android watches, you'll have a hard time finding this company. Of course, the company's gone now. I get that, but even when the company wasn't gone, it's very difficult. You're flooded by sellers selling these smartwatches and everything that any kind of cell phone, anything like that with the Android operating system is going to show up, and you're competing with placement on Google or any search engine for that matter. So really smart they did that. They went to Aragon. Even Aragon, even that name, there's movies named Aragon. So I don't, in my personal opinion, I think they should have came up with a different name, something that wasn't maybe shared with other companies or other things, right? And that's pretty hard to do, but there was other ideas. And I just think that when you're actually searching for a particular watch, right? If you go searching for Aragon, of course, Aragon watches is going to pull up, pretty high on Google, but, sometimes it just makes it a little bit more difficult for you to really build your brand reputation around a name that's shared with something else. Just my opinion. Doesn't make it right, but anyway, it's still a great name, still a wise choice. At least they're not Android anymore, because again, people have a really hard time finding the brand. So let's talk about this beast. So again, 55 millimeter. I do happen to have one of my favorite watches here. This is the 50 millimeter Aragon Millipede. Again, same watch for the most part, just a different name. You can see it's quite a bit smaller, and 50 millimeter is not a small watch. The 55s are super desirable because you just can't get them anymore. And if you love the look of the Millipede, which I think hands down, it's one of the coolest watches that I have and of course ever made. It's just, they really knocked it out of the park, from the name to the way that when you look at it and you say, what's the name of that Millipede? You're like, yep, that makes total sense. I mean, it is a tank of a watch. This one here is powered, I believe, by the NH35, but if I misspeak, sometimes there's 36, 37s, 38s. I think this is the NH35. All stainless steel, no mirror polishing on this. This is just a very tough, durable looking watch, very robust. Now, if we look at the band thickness, I believe it's the same. It is. The band thickness is the same whether you get the 50 millimeter version, or the modern day version, or if you get a 55 millimeter. It's great because the thing about this watch is the band has such a presence that it almost dwarfs a 50 millimeter watch. I shouldn't say dwarfs, but it's very close to the case size. With this, it definitely kind of, it balances out that look a little bit more, in my opinion. But then again, it's a big watch. So 55 millimeter, you may not want to watch that big. It is a screw down crown, of course. Again, that Seiko automatic movement. You do have that exhibition window in the back. Very, very robust. Bezel on this, a little bit difficult to turn just because you don't have a lot of grip. Your fingers kind of naturally will fall into these kind of chiseled out sections here, but it's a little bit smoother. But I don't ever, the most I've ever done with a bezel is just kind of tie myself if I was like on a lunch break or something like that. That's about it. You do have some lume on the indices. Aragon always uses, even the Androids use that kind of like, I don't forget exactly which lume they use on this, but they're not amazing. Just like Invicta, the lume is nothing like my Steel Dive or like my Aqua Dive. The lume, it does work, don't get me wrong, you can see it, but it's not nowhere near as bright as those other competitors. I'm sure it's nowhere near as bright as a Rolex. But in my opinion, it is brighter than a lot of the Invicta watches that you're going to get. It's a tank. It's just huge. You have this nice CNC machined case. very robust, huge lugs on this thing. I mean, everything about it is just big and beefy. And I mean, it's a killer watch. Now, I do have this for sale on eBay right now. And the only reason I'm selling it, or trying to sell it, or may sell it, is because I have the Millipede in the yellow gold. I have the Millipede in the other one, mirror polished black mother of pearl face with that black spinel. Those are kind of my go-tos when I want to wear a Millipede. I have been eyeballing the Millipede with the, I think it's like an aqua and white bezel and face. Really like that look. They had the pink variation. So I know eventually I'll pick up one of those, and this one just never gets any wrist time. It's one of these watches that I bought in the beginning, wore it a little bit, and then next thing you know, they came out with something else that just gets more wrist time. So again, it's killer. You get that royal blue face. It's just, if you are a Millipede fan and you're looking for the big boy, this is it. And you're not going to find a lot of these. And just so, you know, again, I had one guy message me on eBay saying, "You're crazy, you're trying to sell that. Just being rude." And he was one of the guys who actually is pretty big, pretty, if I forget his name, but Kenny? Anyway, he messaged me like this rude email through eBay about like how I'm crazy, and he's laughing at me for trying to sell this watch. I just found it really interesting that like how people will make excuses for what they do, but other people are trying to sell stuff and they want to make a big deal about it. Now, ultimately, he did apologize for being rude, but it's like, dude, if you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. Like, nobody's forcing you to look at my listings. Nobody's telling you, you know, nobody's being ripped off. This is a rare piece, and if you want to get it, it's going to have to be the right price where I feel comfortable letting it go to get something else that maybe I'll wear more, and where somebody's comfortable spending the money for it. I mean, guys spend all day long, spend, you know, $1,000 on Invicta watches where I personally never would, no matter what it was. You know, a lot of times, like I've said before, when you have a $1,000 Grand Octane with diamonds, and you're comparing it to, you know, another Grand Octane, like I paid $136 for some of my Grand Octanes. I'm not going to pay $1,200 for one because there's diamonds on it. But there are tons of people who will, because that's what makes them happy. And ultimately, that somebody will maybe want this enough where it's going to make them happy. Maybe they don't have a 55. You know, and the thing is, when you guys who have watches like me, they don't get a lot of wrist time. There's so many options. So with something like this, you're going to get a watch that's hardly been worn. You know, where other guys, they've worn their watches quite a bit. So when we look at, you know, just for, I'm going to reference this video from on the eBay listing, but when you look at this, the clasp, like there, I mean, there's no scratches that I can tell. I mean, if there is any, it's really fine. I mean, when we look at the case, the only blemish that I can really see is right near the top of the lug. There's right there, a little tiny, tiny fine scratch. Other than that, it's in mint condition, brand new. I have all the links. Doesn't have the box, of course, but you get the picture. But just before I show you what it looks like on the wrist, I do just want to go to eBay. And for anybody who's watching this, anybody who gets a bright idea to tell me what I should be charging for things, you know, maybe this guy, I just was surprised because Invicta collectors generally are pretty cool to one another, you know, and like, even, and if you're an Invicta collector, you like Aragon too. Those two brands are kind of like, you know, very popular. If you like one, you generally like the other. But let me go through here. I do want to call this dude out because it was a little disappointing to have somebody kind of come at me in sort of an aggressive way just because he didn't like my listing, right? I mean, again, if you don't want to buy the watch and you think it's too much money, then you move on, don't buy it. It was almost like he took offense because maybe he was interested in it, and he you know, I don't know what. I just can't. I've never actually emailed somebody on an eBay listing for something I wasn't interested in buying, only to try to tell them off, you know. So, I don't know. It was disappointing, but gosh, where is this guy? I'm pretty sure it was, I want to say Kenny Trainer, but you know, I don't really, you know, of course I'm going to call people out for being stupid, but I should have had this already. Unless maybe I deleted it. I don't know. It's a lot of boot emails. I've been on the boot kick now for a while. Yeah, man, I don't know. But I don't, you know, I hate saying that when I didn't actually, I hate calling somebody out if I'm making a mistake, so I want to make sure I don't do that. I'll find it, guys. Don't worry, because it is something, you know, I want to mention. But Well, I don't think I'm going to be able to find it, guys. That's really too bad. But if I do, yeah, lots of boot listings. But it was disappointing because, like I said, guys, you see a lot of, even though I don't do a lot of collaborations with a lot of the collectors, some of the guys like Trap Vision and, dare I say his name, Tommy Big Time. And you guys know I don't really care for Tommy Big Time. I have a problem with hypocritical people, so that's kind of, that. Here it is. Yeah, here it is. K Trainer. And I recognize that name. As soon as he messaged me, he says 700. You're ridiculous. Worth maybe 250. Again, guys, this watch is not worth 250. Like if you go to eBay and you look at Android Millipedes, let's see what we have today. Android Millipede. I mean, let's take a look. And it just was really surprising to me. Like here's a Millipede right here, not even in the condition this is in. This is a 48 millimeter. Under the Android name, and this guy wants $329 plus shipping. Here's another one, Android Millipede, 48, $380. So if you want to go to eBay and you look for Android Millipede, you have 3, including mine. So I have a price on here of $700 or best offer. I accept offers. I'll consider all offers. But if you're not interested, then don't buy it. I'm the only 55 millimeter Android Millipede on here. So, it's supply and demand, folks. That's the way life works. So don't, come at people. If you're not interested in it, just don't buy it. I just never, it was disappointing because a lot of times Invicta collectors generally tend to be pretty open-minded people. They're not watch snobs, right? And this was just a real watch snob, kind of arrogant move to even, it's not your business. What are you making it your business for? So disappointing, but hey, that's the way it goes. Maybe, who knows? Who knows? I've been reviewing Invicta watches longer than most people have on YouTube. I've seen a lot of guys come and go. I've seen a lot of people, and the thing is, as the brands become more and more popular, there's more and more guys reviewing stuff on there or reviewing these watches, which is great. I think it's a lot of fun being able to share your passion with other people, and I love getting the comments. But I've always been under the impression if you don't anything nice, don't say anything at all, especially with somebody who's not provoking you. But I'll give credit where it's due. He did apologize. So just so you know, if you're watching this video and you think the price is too high, you don't have to buy it. Plain and simple. Because I'm not really too motivated to sell it. But the price is right, maybe I'll let go of it. But anyway, let's check out what this beast looks like on the wrist. Just a massive, massive chunk of a watch. I can honestly say that when I put a watch like this on, and I love Invicta, don't get me wrong, but there is something about this watch that just says this is I don't want to say bulletproof because it's not, but it's just a tank of a watch. It feels just super durable. It feels like a watch that no matter what you put this through, it's going to be able to take it. It's just really well made. And for anybody who says, again, that you spend, I hate to keep, beating a dead horse, but I'm not continuing to do it. When you compare it to watches that cost $10,000, I'm sorry, the only difference between really expensive $10,000 watches, whether it be Rolex or any brand for that matter, is you're paying for the name. And of course, there are, when you look at the way the movement's put in the watch, you're not going to probably find plastic adapter rings or whatever they may use in this. I've never opened it up, but that's generally kind of a common practice. You gotta have you pick a movement that's pre-made and you basically adapt that movement for the watch. Whereas like a Rolex, a lot of those really higher end watches, the movement is made for the watch. You know what I mean? Or sometimes the watch is made around the movement. So of course there's gonna be microscopic differences in finishing and all that stuff. But are we microscopic differences? That's the real difference. Is the things you see with the naked eye. There's nobody who would put a watch like this on and compare it to any brand out there and say, oh, that feels cheap, And and again, Invicta gets a lot of hate for any of the people who are like, oh, well, I'm okay with Aragon. If you're okay with Aragon or Android, you are lying if you're not okay with Invicta because the quality is on par with one another. So it is just a beast, guys. I make myself laugh every time I have something for sale or I'm considering selling something, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to sell it. And then I put it on. I start staring at it. And I look at it and I'm like, man, I can't sell this. I mean, look at that thing. It is just a tank. And even though it's not a mirror polished watch, I mean, stainless steel naturally, it does reflect the light. It's still just a very clean watch. The only downside I would say to this watch is that I wish it had a silver face. I think this color combination or this particular watch with the silver face would have just been even better. You know, I have a 55 millimeter Android gauge, and I have the silver face in that one, and it really makes the difference, you know. But still the blue, you know, it's still very, whoops. It's still really cool. I mean, very flashy. I mean, it's got that royal blue pop. But, you know, it's personal preference. But still a great looking watch, guys. And I wanted to share with you guys once again, because it's been a while since I put up content for Android or Android. So check it out. Let me know what you guys think. If you're interested, link is in the description. As always, guys, have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Be kind to one another and take care.